the Beverly's channel. Today I want to show you how to do some embroidery. We're going to work on 3 specific embroidery stitches, but I want to show you this cute little project where I embroidered on top of printed fabric. You know, embroidery's been around for years, actually centuries. People have been doing embroidery, and oftentimes it's done on a really blank canvas. Like a handkerchief, maybe they'll monogram it, or a doily or a dress or scarf, or a detail on the edge of an apron. Even in the 70s and 80s, people were doing embroidery on a jeans jacket or a flannel, well, not a flannel shirt, a sweatshirt. And a more current idea is to embroider on top of printed fabric. So it's already printed, the hard work's done, and you just get to do the extra fun stitches. So let's get started. Let me tell you some of the supplies you're going to need. You're going to want an embroidery hoop, embroidery needles, and basically there are 2 kinds of embroidery needles. There's a ballpoint needle, and then they're called sharps. And the eye of the needle, some of them are large. If you have really thick thread, it needs to be a large needle so that you can have a hole in your fabric, or it's a really thin needle. There's a whole range of embroidery needles. I would just say get your basic pack and it's going to be fine for starters. And then you're going to want embroidery floss. Now, this floss has 6 threads. That's what embroidery floss is. There are 6 threads in here that you can separate depending on how thick you want your stitches to be. There's also something that some people use called perler cotton, which is more, I call it mini yarn because it's teeny tiny. It just reminds me of yarn, and it cannot be separated, and it has a thicker texture to it that you probably use when you're working on thicker fabric, so to speak. So I'm going to set perler cotton to the side, and I think the other thing we want to use is a pair of little scissors. If you don't have little scissors, whatever scissors you have will work totally fine. All right, so to divide your embroidery floss, you want to have about a 24-inch piece, and this is actually 6 inches long. So when I pull it out, there's 6 inches, and another is 12, 24. You can kind of feel as it comes out. You can't really see it here, but you're going to have to trust me that that's 24 inches, or use the old ruler. All right, so let's divide this because I want to show you, plus I only want to use 3. So I'm going to split it in half here. And you can pull these 2 threads like this. When I was a little girl, my grandma taught me to put one of these ends in my mouth and then pull with my 2 hands, but that seemed just a little bit gross here on the video, so I'm just gonna work hard here. See, the whole thing is that this little piece, you're kind of untwisting as you go. There you have it. Then this piece, Grandma always said, put around your neck, and then you don't lose it. And then here's the piece that we're gonna work with. Now, I usually just kind of put this between my lips, but that seems a little bit gross for you guys on the video, so let's just moisten it. And that it. You want to have this go through the needle enough that it's not real short up here, because it's going to totally come out of the eye of the needle all the time. So about halfway. And then here at the end, some people don't like to put a knot in it. They like to weave it on the back of their project. But for us, for beginners, for starting out, we're going to put a knot. And the easiest way to do a knot is to put it between your pointer finger and your thumb. There's the end. I'm going to wrap it around, and then I'm going to use my thumb to push the thread off of my finger, and while I'm doing it, it's twisting, and then pull it tight, okay? And if you've got a long piece there, you can trim it off. But I'm going to show it to you again, just so that you've got that down, because some people think that that's kind of hard. So you're going to put this between your pointer and your thumb, bring it around, and now you're going to push your thumb, and while you're doing it, it's rolling off, and you grab it and pull, and you have a knot. So, all right, let's clear the water out of the way. And this little thing unscrews so that you can slip this off. I'm just using some plain white fabric so that you're able to see this easily today. And put that down over it to make it tight, and then tighten it up.
Yep, whenever you are.
Okay, I drew a little line here to give us a little bit of a gauge. We're gonna start with our needle underneath, and at the beginning of this line, this is the stab method. We pull up, we go down right on that line. And the key to this stitch is having the stitches be even. In other words, the same length, each one. All right, so this is one way to do the back stitch. But to be honest with you, I prefer the sewing method. So let me show you how I do that. All right, instead of the stab up and down, I'm just going to stay on top here the whole time. So I'm going to go down. I have a finger back here. You can kind of see that I'm poking, pushing. All right, so I go down, but then instead of pulling all the way through, I just poke it back up. So let's go down and then come right back up, so it's just one stitch. Some of you are going to say, why are you not using a thimble? And I should. If I did this for hours a day, my fingers would be hurting, but I just could never get used to a thimble. Alrighty, I think you got the idea on the back stitch. Let's move to another one, and I want to show you the French knot. This was my favorite as a little kid. You're going to come up. This is a great one to use, in the center of a flower, or if you're doing little eyes on an animal, any place that you want just a little dot. All right, so we pulled up. Now we're going to take our thread, here's our needle, and we're going to go around the needle 2 times. So it's once, twice, and then I'm going to hold this tight. I'm going to poke back down, pulling this tight, and pull through. Now, to be honest with you, you could wrap that around 3 times. It really depends on how big a knot you want to have, how big of a French knot, and also how many threads you're using. We just have 3 in this needle right now. If I was using 6 and I wanted, a really big eye on a little animal or a person or the center of a flower, I could do, I could go around there more times. All right, let's do another one. You can see these are fun. Pull one up, pull your thread through, wrap it once, twice, hold this thread tight here, and you're gonna go right back next to where you started. Keeping this tight, this is what keeps your knot from getting all loose and mushy. Okay, let's do the lazy daisy. And just like it says, it would be great to do on a flower, or you could do it on a leaf to make a leaf. Okay, so you pull up, and then you're gonna basically come around. You're gonna go right next to where you were. We're pulling up through the center there. And then we want to go right back down on the other side to just secure that little petal. There you go, that's it. So we're going to come up, come around, make a little loop. Where do we want the end of our, we're pulling up through the middle of that. And then going down just on the other side to secure. So we come up, make a big loop, pull up through the loop, down on the other side to secure. Okay, we can do one more here. Come up, make a loop, pull through the loop, and then go down just on the other side. Okay, I pulled out a piece of printed fabric here that I thought would be an awesome piece for us to do some of the embroidery stitches that I just showed you. Like here you could do a lazy daisy. The centers of these flowers could be French knots, and there's lots of places here where we could do some back stitching. So I went ahead and worked on just a really little project and put it in a hoop and everything. But you can see here, this I used 6 strands of thread, the whole piece of embroidery floss, and it was really big French knot. And these are a lot teenier, tinier, little teeny tiny back stitches all the way around that and in this section. So keep your eyes out for a piece of fabric that is just calling to have some embroidery work done on it. So let's just do a little bit today. And I dug through the workshop and found this piece of fabric that has lots of flowers that are going to be great to embroider. So let's go ahead and do a few things on that. So let's do some lazy daisy stitches on these leaves. Pulled it up through, and I don't know if you'll notice, but I decided to use all 6. Embroidery floss has 6 threads in it, and I used the whole 6 threads on this because I really wanted them to pop and stand out and to be recognized. So you can use anywhere 2, 3, 6, whatever. It's your choice. So it's coming around, poking in, come up at the tip there, and then this piece is behind so that you're in that circle. I think you've got the hang. I want to show you a couple other things that you could do here. Like right here, the center of this flower has all these little red dots. In fact, I wasn't totally sure because they're not actually dots. They're kind of ovals, and I'm like, I don't know if A French knot is gonna look crazy with that, but check this out. I did one right here, and you can't see those ovals at all. You can just see the little French knots, and I just think it turned out super cute. So I already threaded some floss here on the needle, and it's 3. I would start in the center and then work your way out. So we pull up, we're gonna wrap twice, once, twice, then go down. And like I said, I only showed 3 stitches. I mean, there's 30, 40, 50, there are a ton of different embroidery stitches. So if you experiment with these 3 and really like it, then it's easy to learn the other ones as well. 1, 2. Okay, you got the idea. Alrighty, the back stitch. Let's do one of those on here. These stems, let's do the back stitch. And remember, there's 2 different ways. There's the stab, which we'll do that one, where you go down, pull it through, come on back up, and remember we want it to be pretty even as we can make it. Our stitches, it'll make it look a little bit more professional. All right, that's the stabbing method. Up and down and find your spot. Or the sewing method, where you come up and then we're going to keep everything up on top here. All right, now there's I guess it's really the last thing that I want to show you how to do, and that is to finish off your hoop so that you can actually hang it on the wall for a piece of wall art. Let's come back to the one that I showed you at the beginning. This is a painted hoop. You can paint it or you can leave it plain. But on the back here, it's finished off, and I want to show you how to do that. So what we want to do is to cut around here, and I go out about 2 inches, and it would depend. This hoop is a 6-inch hoop. I usually work with 6 or 8-inch hoops, but like this one, this is a 4-inch. I mean, you can get them really huge, you can get them oval. It totally depends on your project. You could have a grouping on the wall of multiple sizes. But let's go ahead. This doesn't have to be exact. If you want it to be exact, you could take it out of the hoop, use a plate, trace it. Okay. So let's make sure that we have this pulled tight so we have a smooth. Just imagine that all these flowers are embroidered in here. We've got all kinds of texture. Okay, so let's turn it over to the back. And you could use thread, 2 pieces of thread or floss. I'm using floss here, and I picked this color just so that you could see. I mean, if I was doing this, I would probably pick navy blue so that if somebody checked, they would hardly be able to see it. But what we're going to do now is just do sewing an in and out stitch, kind of up and down, down, up, and we are going to do that all the way around the entire thing. And I'm about a half, probably not even quite a half, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch from the edge. This thread is about 25-30 inches long. Okay, now that we're back to where we started, you can pull your knot, and I'm going to pull this end, and we want to gather it. Pull it tight, but we also want it to be kind of even there. Good. Okay, when you have it, let's see if we want to do that anymore. Okay, so now just take your two ends, tie them together. And this is where it would be awesome if you had another person's hand. If you don't, figure out a way, hold it tight there, and tie a knot. Turn that off. All right, so now that we have that tight back there, if you get ready to hang this up on the wall, imagine that my hand here is the wall. You've got a little nail sticking out to go through this little hole here. If you try to put this up against the wall, there's just this fabric back here just boings out, and it looks horrible. So let me give you just a little pointer. Remember that there is another little hoop inside of here, and if you gently push on that hoop so that it sticks out, I'd say about 1/4 of an inch, and do that all the way around. Now don't push it all the way, you don't want the whole thing to come undone. But if you push that out like that all the way around, now you've given more space for this fabric to just kind of hug back in there. Now, if you hang it against the wall, you're just going to have this wood frame that'll go flush totally against the wall. And then I think you'll be happy with it. And it would look great if you had a bunch of different sizes and different pieces of wall art that you could put together. You could mix this with other kinds of medium as well. Besides a hoop project like this, another idea would be to embellish a pillow. So I did a little tiny one right here. I didn't take the time to do the whole thing, but you can just see how much texture that it adds. It's kind of an added extra surprise. So just thought it'd be a fun idea. Thanks for stopping by.